Hello, Gemini, and welcome to your monthly forecast. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We're going to be taking a look at the next 6 to 8 weeks together. This is going to be for December. If you're looking for any of your November forecasts, they're already on my main channel page. But if you joined today, stick around because the whole reason that I do these a month in advance is so that you have enough time to navigate opportunities and challenges and make the most out of the month ahead. You'll see right in front of you the main format that I'll be following today. I always like to begin with channeled messages, and this comes from dreams and meditations, and basically it's me working with my guides to bring messages through first. Then we'll get into the cards and see what they have to say. I always save the expanded forecast for right after that, which is health, wealth, love, and destiny. That way the Celtic Cross can show whatever it needs to show in your life. Also, a quick reminder, you can always use this for Sun, Rising, Moon, Venus, or any aspect of your chart that you happen to know. So I just like to clarify that because people ask questions about that. All right, before we begin, a couple of other quick notes. If you like what you see here, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. That way you will be kept in the loop of future videos. You can opt into notifications. That way you'll actually get a notification on your mobile device or an email when I do a new video. You can control how many of those you'd like to get when you click the bell. And then also like the video. It's free and it helps, like I said. Helps other people to discover this and it helps me know what you're enjoying here. You can also follow me on social media. My name is always my handle, so Nicholas Ashbaugh, no alterations to that. Twitter's the only one where it's a little bit shorter, and all of those are listed right here. Remember, I do not offer private readings, and I don't use direct messages for any products or services. So if you see someone doing that on social media, you know it's not me. If you'd like to show love and support, you can do it through any of my live premieres or my live streams here on YouTube by becoming a member, by doing Super Chat, Super Sticker, or by using the thanks button right under the video. All of these are direct ways to help me and to help the channel grow. All right, let's now get into the channeled messages, which includes your totem today. So today's totem came from dreams. I kept seeing an image of a little fox moving around, and I knew that today we would be talking about none other than the fox as your totem. So let's go ahead and bring through this lovely totem and talk about how it relates to you and to the period of time here, again, the next 6 to 8 weeks in front of us. Foxes, first and foremost, they are a part of the canine family, but they don't have all of the same pack mentality that other canines have. They tend to like to group off in smaller couplings or familial sections of like 6 or less if my research, if I remember all my research. So small groups or independently, they do a lot of things on their own. And this is definitely connecting you more to hermit energy than anything in the major or minor arcana. And it's saying that you can gain momentum and insight by doing some work on yourself independently. What could this include? It could include education. It could include meditation. It could just basically mean that you need and want to give some time and energy to developing something before you share it with the larger whole. And this is true of like any sort of projects that you might be working on if you're a creative person. You know what I'm talking about. Too much feedback too soon can get in the way of the sort of germination process that has to take place. You, with your creative project and the muse that's connecting to you as you're doing this, you have vision and faith, and you know it's a little messy in the beginning, but you know what it's going to look like. If you work in construction, someone may come on the site and think, how is this going to be done in time? Or this isn't what I imagined it. And you know what all the missing walls and missing pieces are. And so same sort of energy right now. Give yourself time to discover and to build things up and build things out before you invite someone in that creative space or the mental space. And that's why the hermit energy is here. You can have your small grouping of people that understand and vibe in the same space, but right now you're discovering your power and your energy, just like the hermit with his lantern, and you'll have your moment to then reveal, and it's a little bit later. Start smaller and try not to digest everything at once. This is about patience, vision, and consistent work on things. So I think it's going to be a great period of time, and I don't think you have to do it alone. Like I said, it's a modified hermit here. It would be a small group of maybe 3 to 5 people around you as you're moving through this period that can really help you with the project, with development, and maybe that you can let in on what it is that you're working on. So for some of you, you're going to really relate with this energy of working on yourself, keeping things to yourself a little bit. And typically when I do this reading, again, it's 6 to 8 weeks. So we're really looking at a phase that's only going to last about a month to a month and a half. And then you can come out of that energy and step into the star. Okay. And I mentioned the star not because it follows it, because the star follows the tower, but because he holds the lantern which has the star. So you can basically enter right into that star potential when and if you're ready. Okay. Let's move on to the next piece of information here. And as I was looking up information about foxes, researchers have discovered that they have really good low frequency hearing. So well, in fact, that they can hear a watch ticking from like 36 meters away, or they can hear rodents digging underground, which helps them with being able to hear any predators, being able to catch their next meal if they need to. And of course, as we relate this to you and how it can be effective, it's about the listening skills that you might have or developing your listening skills. I love the Page of Swords because it always looks over its shoulder to check on assumptions, like, did I hear that correctly? It's also pausing momentarily to make sure that it picks up on feedback. It reads the room. And so even though a knight, queen, or king may be more powerful, the page can be the most effective sometimes because it remains open, it remains humble, and it remains connected to the flow of communication. So really connect with your inner Page of Swords, listening, acting upon what you've heard, and then also connecting people and connecting things together. You're taking the appropriate actions here. Your next big idea, inspiration, or job lead could even come from reading, researching, or listening to what others have to say. You might not have to go out and find something. It's just about stopping for a second, listening, and seeing what's available to you. Feedback, of course, is also really essential to growth. So this works nicely with the Hermit. It's coming out of the shell just enough to get some insight, and then you can go back and decide what to do with it. And you may find yourself kind of oscillating between these two energies. Coming out and talking a little bit, listening, sharing what you have, and then going back and working on something independently. So you don't have to be a complete hermit. Like I said, I saw small groupings of energy around the Hermit because we're working with the Fox, which modifies these cards a bit, but that's kind of what I'm seeing here. Smaller groups, smaller chunks of work, taking that and then sharing that and then going back and working on it. Some of you might be working on something like a thesis. Again, some of you might have a construction project, and some of you might just be doing personal improvement, and you don't want to share everything until you've developed yourself or your skills a little bit more. But listening to feedback as you learn, as you grow, and as you navigate through your life is going to really empower you and help you discover the next open door or help you open up the next synchronicity. Foxes are typically seen as crafty, sly, wise, and sometimes a little tricky. On more than one deck of cards that I own, we see the Seven of Swords with a fox. I think it's on at least 3 or 4 of the decks that I own. So here I was showing one from the Wild Unknown, but we'll be using a different deck today. But yeah, there's at least, I would say there's probably many more than that. But for a reason, this is put on there because all of the things we just talked about, it kind of works on its own. It can hear things. It's a little sneaky. It's a nocturnal hunter sometimes. People tend to look at it with not trusting it as much. I don't have that sense with this totem, but it is bringing forth the Seven of Swords energy, so we're going to look at it. So the Seven of Swords can represent someone who maybe doesn't keep their promise or might try to get away with something. So you're going to connect with the positive aspects of the fox, which is that you can see it and hear that before it becomes a bigger deal. And so you're just going to have a conversation with someone to make sure that they understand that you had an agreement, that you see that they're not keeping the agreement, and that you want to do something about it. And that's it. Handle it maturely, be very direct with them, and just basically diffuse that situation. Remember, this is also a reality check that sometimes we try to, we can kind of like lie to ourselves. The Seven of Swords can be the little white lie that we tell to ourselves, which is, yeah, I'm going to do it, or I can handle this. But underneath all of that, maybe I can't do it. Maybe I do need some insight. Maybe I'm not ready to take this on just yet. So this is saying be honest and accountable with yourself and with others. And that's going to really help you embrace the positive energy of the fox without kind of having people look at you and question you. So lead by example, and then diffuse any situations and deal with any situations as they arise. Don't wait for things to sort of get worse. Always be one step ahead, and that's going to help you out here, okay? I really like the crafty piece of this, though, which is saying that you can make the most of a situation, you can think your way out of a problem, and also you can escape danger. So there's a lot of nice things. The Seven of Swords can represent also like cutting your losses and moving away from something and getting out of something tricky without having harm done. So it's also, I always like to look at the positive aspect of this, and some of you might just be deciding to cut losses and move on. Another fun fact, foxes use the Earth's magnetic field to help them hunt. And they prefer to jump in a northeasterly direction, and this helps them have a better kill rate basically when they're trying to get their food. And so very interesting fact here. And the way that this would connect with you is that you have your own magnetic north and your own sort of North Star that is calling to you. And this ability to honor that sort of higher calling is also what connects you to your star energy and your own sort of path of success. And that's going to differ from maybe what people hoped or dreamed or expected or wanted for you. But that's their problem, and that's not yours. You have your own path, and this is your life to live. And as we get out of the nest and discover our power, which was part of the hermit energy, it's discovery, introspection, and enlightenment, which is ultimately why it's such a powerful card. It connects us to this. So typically when I have the hermit energy, there's going to be a star or there's going to be a tower around it, because you have this awakening that's happening. And for you, I feel like this is a really good awakening, okay? You deserve to have happiness and fulfillment in your life. And that may mean a deviation from an expected course. Follow your own heart, listen to your heart, and listen to what's going on around you. By the way, speaking of the listening skills, if we go back to the second slide, I want you to listen to not only what people are saying, but how they are saying it. Because that's one thing that I forgot here, is that there could be some subtle intonations and things going on where you can also sense that they're maybe really concerned about something or really connected to something, but they're not able to communicate it. So your listening and intuitive skills are going to be able to pick up on that in the way that you would hope that they would be able to see that you need to go on your own path. Same thing could be coming through there. All right. This is a moment for you to be in the spotlight. Ultimately, everything that we've talked about has been giving you the power to stand out. So how did I get this? Well, we talk about people that are attractive as being foxy, right? It's kind of a colloquial word that we use. And beauty and brains are the two pieces that have been connected to the fox today. They're smart and they're beautiful, right? So let's put these together, and what do you have? All of the magnet cards. If people are looking at you and they're liking or admiring things, it's going to be the Lovers, the Two of Cups, the Six O Cups, the Six of Cups, and the Star or the Six of Wands, all of these sort of spotlight energies. So this is a time where you might find yourself a little bit front and center, and whether you're ready for that or not, it's coming, folks. So take this moment as an opportunity to really be someone that people look up to, and you can use this platform as a chance to shine, as a chance to inspire, and how you decide to kind of embrace this is totally up to you, but suffice it to say it's a good period of time, and it could represent new love, new business partnerships, recognition that might be overdue. We could even put a little bit of the Three of Pentacles in here. People look at you or what you're doing or who you're connected with, and they like it. And that invariably is something to embrace, okay? Before we move on, a quick mini review, and then we'll get into this. Again, your lovely totem today is the fox, and there'll be some inner work that's being done. You can work with a small group of people, but it feels like you need to sort of like nurture yourself, get comfortable with what you're working on before you decide to share that with others. Listening is going to be really key in this moment in time. You'll still be, like I said, there'll be a small group, but it's sort of like a back and forth, and that's going to help inform your development as well. Listening will also help you open up the next pathway for you, whether it's job, love, relationship, or opportunity. It comes from tuning into what's going on around you. We can see a fox as being crafty and sly and sometimes a little untrustworthy or not accountable. But I like the idea that it can also be an escape artist. So if there's a really difficult situation in front of you, you have the ability to get out of it probably unscathed, which is great. So use your wisdom and your crafty energy to navigate through crafty and tricky situations in your life as well, without any situations happening. Be honest with yourself, be accountable, make sure that others are being held to be accountable as well. Follow your own magnetic north and your own North Star. Your path is going to deviate perhaps from expectations. That's what makes it beautiful. The element of surprise and the fact that you don't sound, look, or act like everyone else, that singular energy is your standout star power, right? And then finally here, the spotlight is shining on you. What do you want to do with it? Don't worry about it. This is a chance where you can utilize that as an opportunity to, as I said, open up a synchronicity or grow in some way, shape, or form. All right. We're now going to enter into the Celtic Cross portion. And again, the Celtic Cross is going to help us navigate the next 6 to 8 weeks. So let's just give the cards a shuffle here and see what is in store. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully doing well. Thank you so much for joining and taking some time out of your busy schedule. It's good to have you here. And there's that Tower card that we talked about. And we have the star. Like I said, where there's a tower, there's a star. Tower, Star, and Hermit are usually there. We didn't get the Hermit, but we got the Hierophant, very close energies. All right, let's continue to expand this, and then we'll get into the reading. Interesting that we got the Hunter, fox hunting being something that is a popular sport. Like I said, you have the ability to escape, and you also have the ability to hunt, because foxes are great hunters, so very cool stuff. Beautiful synchronicity with the listening energy here. All in all, I'm happy with what I see so far. It really connects with all of our channel messages. So let's begin with the Hunter. I was already talking a little bit, which is not characteristic of me, but there was so much coming through with synchronicities, I couldn't help it. All right, so we have the Hunter card reversed. Let's take a look at it upright so we can really soak in the meaning. We see a spotlight or a searchlight, kind of like we see here with the tower here, shining in and saying, or shining on you and shining in the situation and saying, here it is, here's what you've been looking for. So for some of you, you're the hunter. What it is that you've been trying to create in your life, money, love, relationship, maybe personal growth. This is the moment where it all starts to crystallize and coalesce into something that is tangible. It's coming into your life. When that moment happens, it's an awakening. It can be a tower moment. And just like this searchlight would be coming out from that lighthouse, all of a sudden it's coming and it's shining on you and saying, are you ready? The synchronicity, the opportunity is here. Don't doubt yourself now. Really embrace this. This is when the excitement starts, okay? So that's the first thing. The catalyst functions as something that can kind of like rev up your engine. That's what this card is supposed to be and create a really good chain reaction in your life. So there is an element of surprise in this moment where you are caught in the headlights. This can also represent all of those magnet cards I was talking about. I mentioned Foxy, beauty, brains, beauty, opportunity. It's all opening up for you. And the spotlight's on, and the question now is, what do you want to do with it? Are you ready to embrace? Are you ready to do that handshake or sign that contract and say, yeah, let's go, let's dance, let's go? If not, then I would say for you, what is it that's holding you back right now? What do you need to feel stable and ready? Because these moments don't always happen, okay? Now, for those of you that keep waiting, you're like, I've been hunting, but I don't see it. If we go into the best trait of the fox, it was its hearing right now. So you close your eyes and listen. Listen to your heart. Listen to what's going on. Listen to your inspiration and think, is there something else that I could be focusing on? Am I missing something? Because if we keep repeating the same thing and the results don't change, then that's also a message that maybe timing, focus, audience, approach, something could be slightly modified to improve it. This is about changing something, and this was in the deep past. So a change could actually help bring this through faster, because this tower wasn't very sturdy. That lighthouse wasn't strong enough or looking in the right direction or warning someone fast enough. So there's a chance to improve the approach. That's what I would say with this, okay? And also the element of surprise. When you're not focusing on it, the detachment will also bring it in faster. And even if you are focused, there's still going to be an element of surprise that's at play this month. So we'll be taking a look at how the hunter and how the tower play out as we continue to look at the cards in front of us here. All right, so let's bring everything a little bit closer to your viewpoint. Let's go straight to your center card. We have a card that represents normally indecision or lack of vision, but when reversed, it can actually be clarity. Two of Swords in general is a reminder that not everything in life is black and white. The choices are not always clear. In fact, many times in our lives, we have to take a leap of faith. We have to trust our instincts or our intuition, and we have to just basically deal with a certain level of ambiguity in our lives. And so in doing so, because you've done that discovery that we talked about with the Hermit, you're going to be okay. You just have to remind yourself that you can course correct. So this is saying the decision is never going to be easy or clear cut. So you're going to take one of those swords, take a point of view or take action, and then as needed, modify, redirect, reconsider. You always have that choice. All right. So do the best that you can. And crossing this card was the King of Cups. So this is really saying follow your heart. Your heart will lead you in the right direction when facts, figures, or basically just your, what looks right on paper doesn't always make sense. You have to trust how you feel. And let's move into that one next. So this is a period in time where you're led by creativity, by passion, possibly guided by a person that you love as well. Love could be a big central focus for your life. And if we combine these two, interesting thing, you didn't see this one coming, maybe where there's new love or friendship on the horizon. Or you didn't think that you could be so happy. It's interesting, like the way this is unexpected. This is the rug being pulled out from underneath you. This is a shift in perspective, and this opens up love. So sometimes the tower is our friend. Sometimes it's cool to be surprised or have something happen out of left field. So what I see here is a surprise, but you being willing and ready to sort of embrace it. Inconvenient timing, unexpected situation, but it could bring about growth, happiness, love, creativity, a new direction for you. I like that. And I think that if you're willing and ready to take that leap of faith, which is kind of what this is saying, then I think that this period of time could be really rewarding. If you're looking for love, it could come in the form of a water sign. It could also represent, again, a change where you're deciding to follow your heart and your desire. And so this could be at any point in your life saying, I've done enough here. I've proven that I could make you happy or do this task or, get this degree, but it doesn't feel right here. So I'm going to steer my own ship. And I love that as well for you. So whether it's new love coming in or you're just doing what you love, and it surprises or confounds other people, so be it. This is leading you in ultimately good directions here. Because we also see Six of Swords here, which is movement. We see the star in the environment, which is visibility and that spotlight, which came through up here as well. Ultimately, yes, a big shift, a big change confusing to some, but clear to me and clear to you, and good for you. Let's take a look at what's going on here in the deep past. There's something that's been going on in your life where you're just done with it. You've closed the chapter. And now is the time when you are going to fully be able to not only just release it, but I would say kind of like the judgment card, rebound from it and have a second chance. So you either are going to embrace the fact that a chapter is over, or the universe is going to close the chapter for you. So if you haven't already done it, my encouragement for you is to follow through on what your heart wants. And even if, again, others can't see, understand, or support it, it's going to happen anyway. We want to be agents of the tower and change, not be beholden to the effects of the tower. So get ahead of that wave, surf that energy, and basically get to solid ground so you don't even have to deal with the tower. And that's basically the message here. There may be a job, a relationship, or something in your life that you've been attached to for a while that you're no longer feeling a connection to. The cards, your higher self, my guides, everybody's coming through and saying it's okay. You can let go of it if you want to. All right? So it's up to you. I see this also as being a happy surprise that could come in, or a synchronicity that could change your life for the better. So unexpected money coming into your life, unexpected love, or a really big opportunity that's going to require significant changes. You might have to move. You might have to sign a contract. You might have to change direction. And ultimately, based on the overall spread, it feels to me like this is good. Let's get back into the cards here and see what's coming through in the recent past. So for many of you, you've decided, I am tired, or I am done with this, and I'm at peace with the sacrifice or the trade-off. This can represent a trade-off. So we see things that didn't work out as expected, but we also see something here that's beautiful. There's always a hidden Two of Cups, which again, I was talking, and that's actually what I featured, was the Two of Cups. There's hidden love, there's hidden support, even in the face of disappointment or something falling away. So one person, one opportunity, one thing leaves your life, but something greater, something stronger comes through. The tower doesn't completely destroy, depending on how you look at it. What it basically does is it takes things down to the essential elements, and you can rebuild from there. So if you imagine a house that's made of bricks, you could take those bricks, many of them anyway, and repurpose or rebuild them. You might even be able to leave one or two walls up and then decide to rebuild other parts of this. You could use that metaphor in your life, where you're going to decide what part of the structure was strong enough. Even in the tower is not completely destroyed. It's the upper portions of it. So look at this moment as a chance to salvage what you can and let go of what wasn't serving you. So this is the remnants of the tower, and in the remnants of the tower, we have love. Little Apollo in the background saying hello as well. So you have, just like him, someone who has your back and someone who's ready to basically support you in the next part of your journey. This is also saying recalibrate and look at the positive or the sunny side of the street if you can. You may be grieving a bit, but that period of time is going to shift through faster than you imagine, because you've got at least two opportunities or two new people that are coming into your life that require your attention. For those of you seeking a job, again, it's coming in twos. For those of you looking for love, we see a couple things. Maybe if you're looking for an apartment or something, there's options in front of you. Let's begin now and take these as just aspects of you. In your head, in your sort of mental space, we're picking up on things that are going too fast. It's almost like you've had too much caffeine, or you're trying to get 2 or 3 steps ahead without even digesting this moment in time. So the first message here is to slow down just a little bit. This one, we see things speeding up, going in the right direction. Everything's awesome. And you can see this person just having a great time riding on that motorcycle. But when it's reversed, it's saying you may have to recalibrate, you may have to pump the brakes a little bit and just get your bearings, remembering what the strength of the fox was. It has the ability to, when hunting, basically go in a particular direction. What did I say? It was northeast, I think. But either way, it's basically about focusing on what you're looking for and if your direction and if your strategy is effective. And if it isn't, it's time to revise. It's time to edit. Let's go back to that slide because that'll bother me if I said the wrong thing. So, and it's also going to help us a little bit when we look at this. So I was talking earlier about the GPS portion of this, and let's look at this here. So foxes use the Earth's magnetic field as a targeting system. And let's see, was it north? It was northeasterly, yay. It helped them in hunting. So when you are feeling like this is right and someone's saying, no, this is right, I want you to trust what your inner GPS is saying, because your approach is actually going to be more effective and you're going to save time. So don't be afraid to also in real time decide to revise. Let's say 5 weeks ago, 5 months ago, 5 years ago, you thought that an approach or a milestone was what you wanted. You've changed significantly since then. And now you get to say, yeah, but now this is really what I want to do. And so I'm going to adjust this. You don't have to stick forever to one criteria, to one life path. You get to change throughout this entire life. Free will is part of what's so beautiful about living on this planet as a human. We get to change course every day, every moment. Every thought represents one of those course corrections. So that's what this is about. If you have something to say, this is also saying, get it out. Sometimes we overthink, we worry too much. Maybe a moment of rejection in the past has created this sort of soul scar where you're worried that every situation is going to result in that situation. By the way, it's so cool. We can actually kind of see a tower that's been collapsed here in the background. That's the past. It's a vestige of what was. It's not a harbinger of what will be. So change course, change direction, say what you need to say, and get back on your path. That's the most important piece that I could bring forth there. Looking now at what's coming through in the near future, a new idea, a new opportunity, new love. Nothing not to love about the Knight of Wands here. One thing that we want to look at with this is doing the right thing, and also showing this is walking the walk. So talk the talk and walk the walk. Some of you may say one thing and do another. This is not what we want this month, because that is very, it's the shadow side of the fox, which we talked about earlier. We want them both in the same direction. Say you're going to do it, then do it. Okay? And if there's anyone in your life that says one thing but does another, trust what they're doing, not what they're saying, because actions speak louder than words. And that's the main message here is show up, lead by example, and be accountable. At the end of our life, at the end of our days, that's what we have is our reputation and the sum of our actions. And our words are one thing. They can help, they can hurt, they can inspire. But our actions are what we're really being judged by, probably more than just the words. When we look at math, you could think of these as like multipliers. So they're going to either amplify it, or you could think of them as subtractions from what it is. So you said something lofty, but you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, and then that takes away from this. So actions are so important. The other thing here, as we're looking at this, is things are happening quickly. Your thoughts manifest in real time. Critical thoughts are to be avoided. Constructively critical, that's fine, but if it's just critical, you don't have time for that, because there's so many things rushing into your life right now that you want to be able to basically embrace them and step into that spotlight moment. It may be inconvenient, it may be unexpected, you may feel like a deer in headlights, or in this case, a horse in headlights, but it's okay because you set this up and you're actually showing up to others as the star. For you, you feel like, uh-oh, but everyone else is saying, yeah, this is it, this is what we've been waiting for, okay? Let's take a look at what's coming through in the ego and self and its movement. Your heart and your soul is already 2 steps ahead of you. And it's so cool because we're actually looking at kind of the story of the King of Cups here. Follow your dreams, and we see the actions really quickly bringing you down that path to tomorrow. And for those of us that are watching this in the Northern Hemisphere, we have a lot of autumnal energy in this spread. It's closely connected to where we're at right now. We see autumn leaves here. We see sort of autumnal hues here, and we also see autumnal energy here. So suffice it to say, the timing is now. Even if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, because your reader is in the Northern Hemisphere, you could equate this to, this is the time to take action because I'm reading in my environment. We could also see it as from this autumn to next autumn, or for those of you in the Southern Hemisphere, at least half a year. So this is a good period of growth. And again, action now and action within the next 6 months is looking pretty good. Even this card itself on face value shows 6 months, the Six of Swords. 6 months of change, of movement, and development for you. This is a time for travel. If your resources allow and your heart kind of is leading you to go in that direction, this is a time for you to expand beyond your pre-existing thoughts and limits. No sort of unnecessary mental blocks. If you don't want them, you don't need them anymore. And the other thing here, if you have a product, business, or service, this can also be about globalization. It's not as expansive as the world per se, but it is saying, I'm going to go into the next city, the next state, the next country, and see if we can set up shop there or spread the word. All right. So we do see movement as a general theme here. The last 3 cards are movement. 2 motorcycles, two boats, 2 speedboats at that. So actually we have 4 cards of movement. And if you're ready and willing to ride the wave here, it does look like smoother waters here. This is the only thing that's a little upsetting. You wanted something, or you held on to something for a while, and you're questioning, why did I hold on to it so long, or why did this disappear before I was ready? But once you mourn the loss of that, everything, literally every other card is positive. Past, and a little bit of a ricochet from the past, and a little bit of unexpected energy here in the present, but ultimately everything bringing you in a very good direction. So I hope that helps you out. Let's look at what's going on in the environment around you. Well, here we go with the star. It's good stuff, basically. And like I said earlier, it's really just a question what you want to do with your moment in the spotlight, with your platform, with the magnetic energy here. So the star can bring in a lot of things: new job, new love, and basically visibility. And if you don't want all of the visibility on you, you can share the spotlight with others, or with other things, or again, sort of like things that you're passionate about. All right. The other thing that we see with the star is that she is kind of in the flow. We always see her bearing water there, and kind of just almost like temperance. Temperance, we see balancing of the cups. The star card is kind of like emptying out or channeling that energy, 1 foot on the water, 1 foot on the land. And this card as well, kind of like the temperance angel. So if you're patient with this process, it's going to bring prosperity and opportunity into your life. And if you're looking for love, or looking for the next big thing, the star is very much connected to your soul path, your soul purpose, or in this case, it could be a soulmate. If that's the case, we have the Knight of Swords and the Knight of Wands, 2 very evenly matched energies. Again, one a little bit more communicative, one that's just showing how they feel, but otherwise pretty compatible. And then we also have 2 spiritual partnerships here, with the star kind of doing their own thing, and then the Hierophant reverse, which is a bit of a rebel, so also evenly matched. Could be a slight age difference here, but very compatible here. So again, I'm seeing multiples. You're not sort of like, you don't have to settle. That's one of my big messages for you, Gemini, this month is there's no need to settle if it doesn't feel right. Follow the GPS, accept nothing less than what you expect, and know that when you start to believe that more will come, okay? Let's move on into the hope spheres and opportunities. I just kind of alluded to this. We have the Hierophant in reverse. The Hierophant in reverse is already acting with the Tower, because this is about deconstructing and revising and breaking down existing structures in society. So this could be you deciding to go in and say, I don't like this policy. I don't like this law. I don't like this organization. I'm going to either make something better, or I'm going to work from the inside and change it. No matter how you look at it, the Hierophant reversed is an agent of the Tower. So this can be the empowered way for you to work with it. This represents everything that is expected and structured in life. Like I said, it can be government, education. It can be also very traditional ways of thinking or doing things. And they do have a rhyme, a reason, and a purpose in society, but they also need to be changed as time goes on to reflect the changes in people and the changes in culture. So there is this moment of understanding that something that used to fit doesn't. And a gatekeeper that you maybe looked up to once no longer holds the same platform that they did before. You are basically saying, I can create the key, I can hold the key, I can connect to source. A lot of reasons why organizations were put into creation was to just create order. This includes, like I said, governments and also religious organizations. It helped create a sense of stability and order. As we start to evolve, humankind in general, we're going to understand that we can do a lot together, that there's fewer differences, that we've created things like languages, religions, and borders that on a human race level doesn't really exist. We're all very much equal. And we've created divisions and splinters and stratifications that help us identify and give us this sense of community, but they've also separated us. So we need to find the similarities. And what you might be doing is helping people get past old paradigms and ways of thinking that created unnecessary splinters. And it could be in any number of ways that kind of, again, through art, through communication, through law, through policy, you name it. But part of what I'm getting for you is breaking down of walls, barriers, and glass ceilings, okay? And that's exciting. That tells me that gives you a chance to really be yourself. That may mean that you need to leave someone or something in order to shine like you need to here. And it may also open you up to some criticism or scrutiny, and that's why the spotlight is on the hunter here, or the hunter's putting the spotlight on you, and it's just sort of saying, well, why are you doing this? You're kind of shaking the boat here when you don't need to. Truth be known, you're just paying attention to the stormy waters and saying, you know what, I'm going to another direction. This is not worth it anymore. So follow your heart, follow your soul, be the rebel that you are. These are very rebellious knight cards, and know that it's leading in the right direction. I feel very good about where you're headed, and I'm excited to see what comes next. The Hierophant is also really connected to spirit energy, and it is seeing an old path and blending it with a new. It's saying, I don't have to give up everything to be this. But if people, a lot of times what happens is people ask you to make a choice, and then they've already made the choice for you, because if you have to choose between happiness and authenticity and them or their way, you're going to choose the path of truth. And that's on them, not on you. Okay, let's take a look at your final outcome card here, and we have the Nine of Pentacles, which is fantastic. It is reversed, but it is invariably a very positive card. Let's take a look at it in the upright position first, and then I love that this has the snail on it. Not all decks do. So we look in the corner here, we have the snail. We have all of the beautiful resources represented by the grapevines behind her, and then we have the bird there. And so this is basically saying, this kind of, to me, represents call and answer, because she has the ability to have that bird come back to her. And so you don't, there's this sense of knowing that you don't have to hold on to things, and knowing that if you send a request into the universe, that it's going to show up in some way, shape, or form. Now, with the card upright, we would understand that good things come to those who wait. All of these grapes take a lot of care and time to harvest, and a lot of skill. And even being able to work with this hawk or whatever also takes a lot of time and energy as well. The reversal of this card reminds us to be patient, because again, the snail represents a pace that is slower. Also, all the vines represent a lot of time and energy in investing that. And the card in general is about self-sufficiency and independence. And this is saying, don't be afraid to open up to a little bit of assistance to a small group of people, as we talked about earlier. You're always one away from completion here. So there could be a resource that's ripe for the picking, or there could be someone that you could talk to that could lend a little support and help you get to that next pinnacle of success. So you've done most of the work. You've done the lion's share of the work on your own. Now there's just one little piece that's coming in, and if it feels right to you, that could help you get to completion, to the next level here. But what I do like about this is, prior to now, we didn't get any resource cards. You got one, and you got one of the best. I would take this, an ace or a 10, if I'm not going to have a court card, and that sums up a really good month for you. You have the ability to make something out of something as well with this, because it is one of the farming cards. There are a couple growing cards here. The Seven of Pentacles, we see someone making things grow. The Nine of Pentacles represents fruition. And so you've brought things to fruition, and you've gotten past that period of lack. Okay? So that's fantastic, folks. Let's go ahead now and move into the next portion. We're going to expand the forecast to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. Each of these is multifaceted, and they're going to give us new windows or new lenses of insight as we look at the cards. As we take a look at health, I am here to help you see things from a different perspective, help you with your own free will. But when it comes to anything going on in your body or your emotional health, you'll obviously work with a professional on that. Looking at the card for health, we have the hummingbird spirit and a very clear message on this, which is to choose joy. Hummingbirds are also extremely high frequency. They move quickly, they metabolize quickly, and they also just have with them this energy of higher messages from above. So I love whenever a hummingbird stops me in my tracks. A lot of times when I'm walking this little guy, we'll run into some of these totems, whether it's a finch or a hummingbird or a squirrel or whatever. A lot of these things cross our paths on our daily walks. A hummingbird for me has come to represent the universe saying, chin up. Things are moving quickly. Things are changing. Your thoughts can change your reality quickly. So that's the message from the universe for you. And the joy card is very much connected with what we saw here at the center. It's your turn to be happy. It's your turn to experience or focus on love a little bit more. And sip that in, drink that in. We are also looking at the hummingbird, drink the nectar. And that represents an understanding to really enjoy, just like little Apollo here went on his back and said, okay, Dad, give me a little bit of love, and he enjoys. Dogs and animals, they remind us to just be present in the moment. And I try to, every moment that I can, just sort of like spend some time with this little guy. We know that dogs are not here forever. We know that situations are not here forever, that, this moment is precious. So if you're tuning in right now, do something to create some joy in your life. Maybe that's just going to the cafe and having 5 or 10 minutes to yourself, if it's a busy day at work, or going outside, taking a deep breath. I had a parent the other day saying, I'm a busy mom, I don't have any time. I know that there is some time early in the morning usually, or even if it's in the bathroom when you're taking a bath or a shower, we can carve out some time. We can also model this for our kids, make it into a game, say, let's see how long we can be quiet and what comes into your mind when that happens. Because I think you can teach meditation early. I had a friend that used to do children's yoga, and you have to kind of make it play and make it challenging, but you can teach the importance of quiet as well. I'm not a parent, so I understand it's not that easy. And I have a lot of friends that are, and there are moments where the kids are screaming, and I get it. It's hard to find that. But try to find the joy, and remember that like Six of Cups and the Sun are two of the best cards in tarot, because they remind us to find that inner child. So kids sometimes remind us that sometimes you have to just let it out. So there's even a lesson in that. They experience both pain and joy in a very quick way. They don't hold on to things too long. So we can even see them as teachers in that respect. All right, let's now graft this into a larger context. We're going to take a look at all messages from health, from a health perspective. The first thing is, some of you, like me, may have gone through a challenging situation. This can be a wake-up call. It can be a broken bone or ankle or anything. It could be a habit that you broke, which would be good. But this is going to bring about a wake of change and a time when you're going to have to rebuild and strengthen. Some of you might have just burned yourself out, because the tower comes through as sometimes like a cold or sickness when we are just overdoing it. So what I pick up on invariably for all of you is that something needs to change because it isn't sustainable. You ultimately are going to have self-sustaining energy here, but we want to avoid this because it isn't going to help you in the long run. So change what needs to be changed. Give yourself a period of adjustment here. Keep yourself in a constructive area when it comes to thoughts. If it's just critical, it's time to let them go. If you can take a trip, please do that. Any sort of travel or getting out in the world is very much embraced by what we see here. Don't ignore something. The Two of Swords represents something that we want to ignore, but the reversal of this is an understanding that it's not going to help. Again, it can also represent problems with hearing or vision. So if there's anything going on with that, again, get some assistance with that. It could also just be this feeling of being overwhelmed, because we have the King of Cups right on top of that. So increased sensitivity or empathy coming through. If you're having difficulty dealing with that, reach out, get the necessary assistance there. Some of you might need to move from a toxic environment because this can represent house, home, or work environment, and that's not helping you, and that's rocking the boat, so it's time for you to move past that. Otherwise, I like what I see. This is a chance for you to create a new habit and to break up your routine a little bit as well. All right, so those are all the messages for health, with just one last thing before we move on to wealth, and that is that joy is not only your divine right, but it also is a key to success and growth. It's going to help lift you up when we look at wealth here in just a second. So nice segue into wealth. Your wealth card is air guidance, listening to, this is you, Gemini, but listening to what's coming through from spirit, from source, what's going on in your head, not giving so much energy to the critical thoughts, allowing yourself to take flight and to go in the direction that you need to. So we have here, it says, shift your perception. For many of you, you might have been looking at what was or what could have been rather than what is right in front of you, very much aligned with what we saw here in the Five of Cups. So once you do that, once you start to look at the 2 cups behind the 3 that have fallen over, then it's kind of interesting. We have the same sort of bird-like energy coming through here. Then you start to see the possibilities, and then that starts to bring you to a more substantial, more grounded state of being. Let's take a look and specifically see what's coming through with wealth. I like your direction. We talked already about not being so fiercely independent that you don't allow for help to come through because things could happen even faster than you imagined. Let's now look at this. There was a setback in the past. Someone said or did something, it hurt you. You might have tried something and it didn't take. You might have experienced failure or setback. It has a way of sticking. This card is saying, stop looking there, start looking here. She's actually looking in the direction of the 2 cups here. So when you look at it from the inside out or the upside down, you can start to see things in a better way. Love and opportunity is actually already marching in. We have a lot of movement around you, a lot of people around you actually, and right smack dab at the center is this opportunity for happiness. But you have to choose it. It is a choice. And you're being asked to do a lot actually. So this is you, but this is all of the people around you. I would say for those of you that are in a job or in a small group, maybe a smaller company, we need leadership here. And so you have a chance to step into leadership for sure. The other thing here is that you may be in a place where they are wanting you to just do one thing. You have multiple skills, kind of like when we look at creatives, they can be like a singer, songwriter, producer, or an actor, director, producer. We see that a lot of times in creative fields. Guess what? You can do the same thing in your own life. You are a producer, a creator, a writer of your own path. And most of us have more than one skill in our tool set. Like just walking, talking, driving, we all can do a lot of things at once. There's no exception even when it comes to career or hobbies. So if you're at a place where people just keep you in a box, you're not going to grow. It's like a bonsai tree, right? You keep cutting off the roots and pruning it so it can't grow. So you want to push through and stretch out. And that's what I'm seeing right now, is this ability to really show who you are. And that to me is exciting, but it does require, for some of you, saying, I can't do this anymore. So this could be quitting, this could be traveling, this could be a sabbatical, an internship, deciding to go to school, to college, or to do something on your own to get the training that you need. And then you're going to go down your own path. So I do see a lot of independently leaning cards here. I see a little bit of restriction here that is holding you back. And I see way too many people around you. So the important thing for you is to be the sort of the voice of reason, and also a reorganizing energy. Something about the existing environment doesn't suit you. So you're either going to change it or you're going to move into a new direction. That's basically what I'm seeing with career. Highly creative and effective energy coming through now. This was the past. This is the present. That's the future. And the future looks pretty good. Okay? So I like what I'm seeing. I see improved resources coming in for many of you. And you're allowed to change your mind. That's the ultimate message here. You can always say, this doesn't work for me anymore, but this does. So I think that's something that you just learn with age and experience. We change. We're not the same person that we were when we were a kid. And it's kind of silly that we decide, I hope this is changing, but like, at least in the greater part of the last century, you were forced to make a decision for your whole life. When you're like 16, 17, 18, you decide the college and the career path that you're going to move on. You haven't even begun to experience everything at that point. Every decade that you live past that, it changes your perspective so radically. So change your mind if you want to. And even if you're 18, 19, 20 and you spent 6 months on a path and you're like, no, this isn't it. That's okay. I changed. I got a whole undergraduate degree and thought, this isn't what I want to do. And I went in another direction, and I'm happy that I did. Because, and even then, I still repackaged it. And I talk about this a lot. I went down a path for 15 years, and I thought, this also isn't what I want. We're allowed to keep changing. I wouldn't be here otherwise. So give yourself as many opportunities to change as you need to in this given lifetime, because free will is our gift. All right, let's move on to relationships. We have in the castle of dreams. Become altered by the color of your dreams. So kind of a nice segue from what I was just talking about. We are always connected to spirit, but sometimes it comes through strongest when we're not overthinking. And that is especially our dream and meditation time, which if you don't have time to meditate, you're probably going to have very vivid dreams. So see what's going on in the dreams. What's cool about dreams in general is they are not stuck in a logical sort of way of being or thinking. They show us hopes, fears, and opportunities. So as we look specifically at hopes, fears, and opportunities, it's about disappointing people. You're afraid of disappointing your boss, your parent, your teacher, society. But the truth is, you're perfect. We have the star card here. This is what's available to you. This is the old way of thinking, the old fear, the old paradigm that needs to be what? Shifted, because we had a card here saying shift your perspective. So shift that, and that's going to be okay. In relationships, dreams and expectations are going to be put to the test. So let's go ahead and get a deeper understanding of what's in front of us. I'm going to take a look at those of you that are in a relationship, looking for a relationship, or single and happy, and we'll get some insight into what might be challenging you or coming through as an opportunity. All right, let's get started with those of you in a relationship. It's very interesting. This almost strikes me as parents and children. And it's really also fascinating that there's so many different personalities here. For the parents, I actually see two very bold energies, one that's just sort of unfiltered, the other one that's coming out of their shell a bit. When it comes to the children, it looks like we have a very active and sort of like demonstrative person. Then we have someone that talks all the time, but isn't a very good listener. Some of these energies may also boil over into your relationship. So we see someone who's just basically leads their life and is happy to kind of go in their own way, and then someone that has a lot to say but may not be listening. So this is the challenge first and foremost, is to slow down long enough to listen. And the other thing here is to make sure that if you are feeling that the other person doesn't understand you or isn't being present enough, that you use a way, and this is King of Cups is through compassion and through love, of kind of like reconnecting it, saying, I miss talking to you, I miss being with you, or let's set up some time to just hang out. And I see really good things coming from that. I'm happy that we got cups in this spread because that does show love. Some of you have had a lot of life changes. So looking at a relationship that otherwise is stable, here's what I see. You may have just gone through a significant life change, loss of a parent, loss of a loved one, a significant health challenge, a move, something that shook your life to the core. You have a good relationship to lean on, which is what I like here. And resource-wise, it looks like you're going to be okay. But it does feel like right now you guys are a little disconnected. 2 of Swords, not hearing, not seeing. 6 of Swords, distance. And ultimately, we need to get the King of Cups energy back, which is basically showing and being close, like showing your appreciation, but also the proximity and the different levels of intimacy. We're not actually getting in this spread. It's not about sex. It's actually about closeness and communication of emotional vulnerability. That's what's missing, because it feels like not listening, not speaking, not there. And we need to kind of connect that thread a little bit. So those are the main things that I'm seeing right off the bat. Some of you are in a situation where the relationship was on rocky ground. So now we're changing the narrative to those of you that have been through a tough spot in your relationship, and you may have decided to stick with it. Maybe very traditional values here. Maybe you just know this is your soulmate and you want to work it through. I do think that it looks like both of you are showing up, but there's some work to do. And the main thing that I'm picking up on all these relationship narratives is we need more communication. We need more listening and more follow through as well on this for it to work. And for those of you that, let's say that the relationship is okay, this could just represent a health or an environmental challenge. One or both of you are going to have to figure out how to reorganize and how to make some changes for this to work. But ultimately, I like that the near future and outcome cards are good. And it tells me if you want it to work, you can make it work. If you decide to go your own way, you'll also be all right. All right? So those are the main messages for existing relationships. If you're single and looking, you need to move or get the move finished or make your life sort of more stable, because the Tower and the Hierophant reverse show a lack of structure and that the sort of cement basement hasn't been built. The foundation isn't intact just yet. For many of you, there's a move that's necessary, traveling. You also don't have a lot of free time right now. So find a way to create space and momentum and sort of sustainable energy in your life so that you can partner up with someone. Do I see love coming in? Yeah, I see multiple options actually. One thing that I would say whenever I get so many court cards is be specific, be more specific than you have been, because you're actually manifesting a lot of opportunities and it's almost like the universe doesn't know what to show you. And so the more you can realize that you're manifesting right now, the faster you can manifest something that that suits you the best, because a soulmate wants to come in, but it's kind of trying to figure out, the universe is trying to figure out, are you ready? So that's what I'm picking up on right now. I also think that you have a lot of thoughts going through your heads and a lot of activities on your calendar. So that's that sort of star energy, Two of Cups, magnetic stuff that I was talking about, the spotlight. You have to figure out how to say no so that you can say yes when some of the love opportunities come in. If you're single and happy, it's a good time to be single and happy. I think you would thrive if you were traveling right now. I see your money situation growing. Spiritual development and growth is off the charts. Here's the thing for all relationship statuses. You have a choice to explore things that are not necessarily a part of what you were taught when you grew up. This is organized religion. This is very much just everything else. So that could be like what we're doing here. It could be yoga. It could be Reiki. It could be anything that's out there that's not part of the traditional religious pathways. And there's so much out there. I've talked about, misunderstandings around magic and spiritual practices. They're just new truths that we haven't yet understood or explored. When we look at what scientists and astronomers had to go through to show that there was more to the universe than we understood, like Galileo, for instance. Looking up at the night sky and seeing things and questioning things. So science sometimes was seen as magic. So we just use that word, and we use sometimes our traditional values and systems to judge things that are emerging in a way that we don't need to. So that is a nice segue into the next piece, which is to be open-minded. We have listen deeply. This is in your destiny space, and this absolutely helps you achieve what you want to achieve this month. And it connects with what I had in my slide. So let's bring that up one more time because I liked the messages there as well. So let me go back here and see what we had written here. So here it is. Listening is everything was specifically what I had placed in that. So it says, your next big idea, inspiration, or lead may come from you reading something, researching, or listening to what others have to say. And that feedback is also a key piece to growth. And so however this is coming in to your life, whether it's something that you heard on the way to work, whether it's something that someone is trying to tell you, whether it's your higher self saying, I need to make this change, let's do this, listen to the call, okay? Let's go ahead now and take a look at your big idea. And the big idea is one thing that can really help bring all of this into focus and sort of give you a key to making the best of this period of time. And we have the Six of Wands in reverse. So let's talk about this. In its upright state, the Six of Wands is everything you could dream of. It's success, it's validation, it's moving things forward, it's people coming through and saying, I support you. The reversal of this often indicates you getting into your headspace more than you need to, trying to anticipate what people want and then trying to do it just because it's what they want, not because it's what your North Star wants, not because it's what you have dreamed and hoped to do, not because it feels right, but because it's expected. And one of your opportunities in this lifetime is to prove to others that there's more than one way, and to allow yourself to what? Experience some joy and some happiness, and to drink in the moment. So know this, when a beautiful card like this comes through, you're almost guaranteed that the path that you're headed on is going to be good. You're on the right path. But if it is one where it is only for others, the satisfaction, the payoff, the gratification likely won't be enough for you to sustain in the long run. So for this to be sustainable, it has to feel good for you. This can also just be disbelief. We talked earlier about the spotlight shining on you. You've been manifesting something, and now that it's finally come through, you're like, is this all for me? Is this right? Can I really do this? And yeah, what you've been trying to bring about, we have a synchronicity. And so this is saying, don't doubt a synchronicity when it stares you in the eye. Know that you are okay, that you've built up this moment in time, okay? So I see success on the horizon. Don't doubt it, but also don't try to make everybody happy just because they want you to do something. You can find success in any path, in any direction, if you allow yourself to put in the work. That would be a part of the Nine of Pentacles. Slow and steady wins the race, okay? Let's go ahead now and take a look at the blessings and the blocks for this period of time. Things that are going to help, things that you have to be aware of, okay? Let's give the cards a nice shuffle and pull one for each. For the blessing, we have the Four of Swords. And for your block, we have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, something that actually came through on the weekend. All right, so let's begin with your blessing card. It's time to take a break, and I think you know when to take a break. It's interesting that we see her sleeping with one of those swords. And so sometimes we're afraid to let our guard down, and we're afraid to give ourselves a chance to rest. We're constantly in fight or flight mode. So one thing that I'm getting from this is to put yourself in an environment where you can let your guard down a little bit. And at least when it comes to your dreams, which is also what's represented in the Four of Swords, that you don't have to feel like you can't be yourself. Typically, no matter what, your authentic self will come through in dreams. Your true hopes and your true fears and your true aspirations, they're all going to make themselves clear in the theater of your mind and in your dreams. So listen to that and don't fight what is coming through in that area. The blessing is the knowing, and the blessing is also in the surrender and in the ability to just rest and soak and drink in the moment, because that also is what happens when we allow ourselves to drink it all in or to relax, okay? So take the rest and the time that you need. This is also a card of things moving out of your life. So this is the movement, the Six of Swords. This is the piece that follows. The hardest part is the movement, the decision that I must go in this direction. I need to say goodbye. It can be a divorce. It can be a breakup. It can be quitting. It can be any number of things where you have to transplant yourself from one place to another. It's worth the journey and it's worth the work for those of you going through that, okay? Also, if you have a lull, there's not a lot going on, in other words, take advantage of that, because we saw with your, the big idea card that there's success on the horizon. So this is a period in time where you need that rest and recuperation so you can capitalize on the success that's about to come. Now let's look at your block. We have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Things are already changing. They're happening quickly. For some of you, faster than you want. You're being asked to take the helm, to steer this ship in the direction that you want to be in. We see all four seasons, we see different weather, we see different opportunities on this card. It can represent one rotation around the sun. It can represent 10 to 12 months as well. But one thing that it's definitely showing right now is that the way that you were doing something, the approach that you were taking, it's no longer ideal, and as uncomfortable and unusual and maybe as inconvenient as this next movement shift or adjustment may feel to you, it's also very much necessary, and it's also very successful in the long run. No matter how you look at the wheel, it's positive. It's saying growth, movement, abundance. And it definitely connects us to the energy of the Nine of Pentacles here. So a change not only will do you good, but could also open up all of this abundance here. So resistance to change, if I were to summarize, is your biggest challenge, and a need for you to be very hands-on and decisive about the next direction. Why is that difficult? Well, because we had a little bit of indecision at the center. We've had a little bit of rejection in the past. We have some critical thoughts going on up here. We have a perspective shift that needs to happen here. But once that happens, we see a big breakthrough, an ability to recreate, to restructure, abundance, and then even more abundance on the long run, okay? So it's not really a block, it's just discomfort. Discomfort with the amount of change and the amount of energy that you might have to do to crank the ship in a different direction, but it's worth it, folks. Okay, we're going to move on to a reader's choice because it's a live premiere. So in this reader's choice, let's look at the cards and see what's in front of us right now. I always like to go for the trickiest. So I'm going to go to the Tower, and I'm going to ask, how can you navigate this Tower moment right now? What's it about? It's in the past, but it's still ricocheting a little bit here. So why did it happen, or is it still kind of like wrapping up? What can you do about it? Nine of Cups. I love that this is sort of a card of creation here too. So it came through so you would have permission to do what you wanted to do. The Nine of Cups is about happiness. It is the optimist. It's the eternal optimist in the minor arcana, at least in the suit of cups. And it's basically saying, I'm going to embrace the positive. I'm going to do something fun. I'm going to give myself a chance to go where I want to. I know I've been in jobs before where I was happy that there was a layoff or there was restructuring and I had to leave because it forced me into a new trajectory. It happened a couple of times. One time, right around this time of year, around U.S. Thanksgiving, I went to see a family member and went for the holidays. I went 1 or 2 states away, and then I got a text message that the company was laying everybody off. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll be doing something new after Thanksgiving. I still had a great Thanksgiving. And when I went back, I felt energized and just made a decision to try. That was the beginning of the realization that I needed to move to Southern California. So sometimes we have these shifts, and they give us the nudge that we need. So the Tower came through for your happiness and for your joy. It may not feel like it right now, but what you get to choose is a different direction. And I had a couple of moments in my life where, before I decided to leave the career that I had built, I was working with actually a nutritionist, and because I was just going through some situations where I kept getting a cold and everything, and she said, your immune system in your body is trying to kind of wake you up here. It's lowered because of the environment. She said, and you keep getting the same jobs. Why don't you just do something else? And at the time I was younger and I'd done all this work and I had the degrees and all this stuff. And I'm like, but I built this up, and I totally get it, folks. I totally get it. But I could have saved myself 7 years and I could have been building this channel for those 7 years, but it did give me additional insights into what I wanted, what I didn't want, and it definitely strengthened my character. But you can avoid having to go through some of that stuff because you're watching. So give yourself permission to be happy and to do something else, either in a relationship that doesn't suit you, in a job, in a living situation, in an extracurricular activity, whatever feels old, broken, or unsupportive. It's time to let that go. And the Tower came through to ease that and to speed things up a little bit for you. All right, folks, let's move on to the next portion where we're going to go a little deeper and look at the sun, rising, and moon messages. I mentioned earlier you can always use it for all parts of your chart, but I like to look at these 3 in particular. I know most readers, including myself, suggest that you see these, and they're also my favorite parts to look at too. So let's pull some cards and see what the messages are, and then we'll dig a little deeper into sun, rising, and moon. All right, for sun, we have the King of Wands. For rising, we have the 8 of Pentacles. And for moon, we have the 7 of Pentacles. So let's talk. All right, let's begin with Gemini Sun. We have the King of Wands. Let me zoom in a little bit on this card. It's so beautiful. We see this king sitting in front of the fire, and it reminds me a lot of what I would expect with like Hephaestus, the blacksmith of the gods, being able to forge, reforge, create, recreate something, not depending on someone else to do all of these things. So even though it's a leadership card, it's also very empowered and very active. We also see that it's a woman here on a king card, which represents the ability for people to do unexpected things. We're looking at going past expectations, which has been a very clear and consistent piece of this particular reading today. The King of Wands is second only to Emperor or Empress energy. It's the ultimate boss card in the minor arcana or any of the court cards. So anything you set your mind to this month, you can do. If you want to step into leadership, you have the ability to lead very well. And if you want to do something on your own, you can do it. But ultimately, the main message beneath all of this, and the one that I'd like you to focus on, is you are the source of your own inspiration. Look within. Don't rely on external sources for that power. You're your own battery. You're your own sort of like solar factory. So this is basically telling you to own that. And I love that we see solar plexus energy all over this card. And so this is a time for you to step into your power. Great energy. I mean, it's the sun. We have fire, and it's basically this. You can't get more solar than this card unless I'm pulling the sun. So I love it. It's going to be a great month for you. This is also a great card for you being in a place where people are looking up to you, as I said earlier. So that magnetic energy, very closely associated with the Gemini sun. All right, so let's go ahead now and look at rising or ascendant messages. This is such a productive card, one of my favorite cards to pull when it comes to looking at a project, looking at school, looking at self-improvement. This is the fixer-upper card that we would see in the minor arcana. Eight of Pentacles represents a return on investment. It also shows you kind of really loving, enjoying, and geeking out on whatever it is that you're doing. So in this period of time, if you're asking, can I do something? Is this the right time? Will I get something out of it? This card is giving you a yes with multiple exclamation points after it. It is also saying that this is a good time to roll up your sleeves and do things. You always see building and learning and moving on this card. It is a card of apprenticeship. Three of Pentacles is mastery. Eight of Pentacles is apprenticeship. So you're learning, you're completing, you're putting the finishing touches on. If we're looking at a percentage of what's done, you could almost imagine something as being like 80% done. It's also a card of revising, editing, and perfecting. So I would just say keep up the good work, and this month, whatever you put your energy and focus into will be great and appreciative and return on that energy. It's a good investment. All right. So keep up the good work. And it's also a great resource card in general as well. It's moving you closer to the outcome, which was Nine of Pentacles reversed. So you're very close. Just keep working on what you're doing. Don't lose your focus, and keep expanding your skill set as well. Let's move from rising to moon. So for moon, we have the Seven of Pentacles, and it's a kind of elevated Seven of Pentacles, I have to say. Usually the Seven of Pentacles shows frustration. He actually has a little bit of hope. He's looking up and he's kind of saying, yeah, I got to wait a little bit. I can't yet get the fruits of my labor, but I'm not going to give up. He also understands the importance of not overreaching. Let's look at the traditional Seven of Pentacles, because I really like what this is showing you as a contrast. In the traditional Seven of Pentacles, the character on the card is a little bit distraught, a little bit frustrated, somewhat questioning why. Why did I end up here? Why do other people have more than I do? Why is it taking so long? Or when will we get there? It's all of these questions kind of packaged together. And the card that I pulled in this particular deck is understanding that you have to just keep the faith and keep looking up. Look at the positive side of things. So we're almost there. Give me a second here, because there are only a couple cards left here, and then we'll get it. Here we go. It was the very last card of the deck, which is just like what we're talking about, trying your patience. All right, so the Seven of Pentacles here, we can see him looking at that and thinking, when will this grow? Why is it? How did I get here? And how can I get out of this? And in this card, he's like, all right, I got myself into this, but I'm definitely getting myself out of this, and I'm feeling good about it. So some messages around this. Patience, diligence, and saying no are all going to be important. Don't overcommit, don't overextend, don't beat yourself up. Remember that healing is already a part of this, healing and growth. It may not be as abundantly clear and immediately sort of satisfactory as what we see in the Eight of Pentacles, but it's happening, okay? So as long as you don't rush, as long as you don't get dismayed, and as long as you focus on realistic expectations and healthy boundaries, you're well on your way to the 8 and the 9 of Pentacles, which we saw elsewhere in this spread today. Okay. All right. That actually brings us to the final portion of today. We've gone through channeled messages, the Celtic Cross, big idea, blessings and blocks, the reader's choice today, the sun, rising, and moon messages. And now we're going to get ready for the meditation and the final card. Before we do that, please hit subscribe if you haven't already. Throw me a follow on social media if you'd like. You can also connect here by becoming a member or doing super sticker or super chat. And with that being said, let's get ready for this final portion of the reading. So there are 3 parts here. The final part is what you can prepare for right now, which is the final question. If there's anything that I didn't have a chance to answer today, scribble that down or tap it into your phone or just hold it in your thoughts for a few moments, and we'll read one last card at the end. It's kind of like a pick a card, but I'm just going to pick one card. And before then, we're going to do a quick meditation and sound bath to get your mind and heart and energy tuned in. All right, so let's look at the cards again on the table today and see what the common thread is. I think it's really about accepting change and moving on to a sort of new horizon. I like this ability. All of these are traveling, so I'm going to connect with this one. We're going to be in a boat moving towards the desired horizon, moving away from the past, being able to disconnect from the past, etc. All right, so close your eyes, relax for a moment, and imagine yourself right on the pier, getting ready to step into this boat. Imagine that it is maybe even a 3 of Wands moment where something wonderful has happened, and it's emboldening you and encouraging you to take a step in a new direction. Your heart feels bright and alive. You're going to be going in the direction of a rising sun, and so these brilliant shades of orange and yellow are lighting up the sky just as they are in this particular card. And I want you to feel like you are ready. You're ready for change. So having now gotten yourself onto this boat, take a moment to look over your shoulder. In the past, you may see the remnants of something difficult, a tower moment. You also see the brilliance that followed it, the star, this ability for you to step into something wonderful. We have to go through that sense of loss before we can discover that. We see the numbers here, 16, then 17. They follow one another. So you're really allowing yourself to now step into your own star moment. So it's appropriate that you're moving towards our star, the sun. So turn on the motor to the boat and just set a course and a direction and one thought. What is it that you want to bring into your life? Is it love? Is it healing? Is it abundance? Focus on one thing for the purpose of this meditation, the one thing that you'd like to see the most movement in. And one last look over your shoulder. Offer gratitude for the tower in your life, whatever it was. It might have been a person, might have been a health experience, it might have been a bad job, whatever it was, it built up your character and it opened up the star for you, okay? The tower's done and the star is in front of you. As you allow yourself to connect with this future star energy, it's not just the sun itself, it's also just a brighter light around it. All around you, it's just light as far as you can see. So close your eyes and allow the boat to navigate itself towards the path that's going to bring you closest to your highest star energy. I'm going to play the singing bowl while you do that, and then I'll take a look at whatever final question you have for me. Keep breathing as we're doing this. Allow your breathing to return to normal. See yourself now at the opposite end of the shore, stepping onto solid ground and seeing just beautiful, bright energy all around you of manifestation, of your dreams coming through and coming true, and see something in the distance starting to take shape or form. Could be a person, could be a building, it could be a new job. So whatever it is, you're starting to see your dream come towards you. And the message from the universe is soon. It's on the horizon, okay? Keep your eyes and ears open. Remember, one of the messages today, both from me and also from the cards here, is to listen and really tune into things. And when that spotlight and that manifestation happens, don't second guess it. You've created it, you've built it. It's yours for the taking and for the picking, right? And that's really what we see here with the Nine of Pentacles too, is that you've created this moment. All right. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and open your eyes and focus now on the final question that you have for me, whatever that might be. And just keep that in your mind as we actually got a volunteer here, but I'm going to pull a second one. So the first message is patience and Three of Wands, manifestation. Okay. I had a feeling the two would go together. I usually only pull one. So Spirit came through with this message, which was you have to be patient in order for this to manifest. And it's basically one step at a time. The Temperance Angel always is moving towards the destination, but also understands that in order for this to happen, there has to be steps and progress. And sometimes it's a little slower than we want. But guess what? We just did a very boat-based meditation, and I mentioned the Three of Wands. I said, like, imagine that the Three of Wands just happened. So here we see someone on the outside looking at what's out there, and I think the message here is to not just dream it, but to do it. We see it happening. I always like an active Three of Wands. So it feels like your three wands were here, the pencils or the pens. You've planned it out, you've envisioned it, you've actually created the initial movement that's necessary, and now it's happening. So you have to get out and stay open to looking at things from different points of view, because if you shift that perspective, you may find that it's already here. And the patience piece is not such a big deal, because it was really just like, be patient with yourself and also be patient with the universe. It shows things in different ways, different shapes, different times than we want, but it's invariably for our highest good and for our own growth. As a yes, no, this is a yes. And as a sort of indicator card, it's saying you may need to travel a little bit or move a little bit, but not a lot. We see a pretty decent return and a pretty quick return on whatever it is you want to do. There's nothing negative with the Three of Wands. It's a good card. And so what you want is happening, and it will happen. And we see up to 3 months of productivity. And we also see a need for you just to get out there, because watching it from afar is not enough. That's the only thing that's happening here that I would say you have to kind of roll up your sleeves and get out there in the real world and meet it halfway, okay? That, my friends, is everything for today. I just want to say thank you so much. Before we wrap up today, please do drop a like and subscribe. Follow me again. And I wanted to say thank you for everybody that's given back today. It helps the channel, it helps me, and I hope you enjoyed what we did here. Reminder, I'm live every Monday, Thursday, Friday, reading for the monthlies. I do one daily card pull each day, and I'm also here every weekend on Sunday doing a 7-day forecast. So thanks for all your support through all of that. Lots of love from Apollo and I. He's still sleeping because this is early, but we wish you all the best, and I hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.